Welcome back to the Big Lab podcast. Today we're talking about something every one of us is feeling, even if we don't fully realise it. It's that creeping sense that our attention is slipping, that it's harder to focus, that we open our phone to do one thing, and 40 minutes later we're still scrolling TikTok, wondering what just happened. That's not an accident. It's the result of digital dopamine, the way technology hijacks our brain's motivation system for profit. See, dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it's about wanting. It's the neurotransmitter that drives us to seek, to explore, to chase rewards. And our phones, with infinite scroll, variable rewards, and constant novelty, have turned that system against us. In this episode, we're going to explore the neuroscience of dopamine, what it actually is, how apps are designed to exploit that system, what that's doing to our motivation, focus, and happiness, and finally, how to take your brain back. Practical steps to reset your dopamine system and reclaim deep focus. Because this isn't just about distraction, it's about your life energy. Every notification you check, every scroll, every digital hit of dopamine, that's a drop of attention you'll never get back. So let's talk about how we got here and how to fight back. Cal Newport says, the ability to focus is the superpower of the 21st century. Every generation faces its own version of temptation. For the ancient Greeks, it was hubris. The danger of believing you were as powerful as the gods. For us, it's distraction. We've created a world that rewards immediacy, speed, and stimulation, but punishes stillness, patience, and depth. We carry around in our pockets a machine that gives us anything instantly. Information, validation, entertainment, connection. And yet, we've never felt more scattered, more anxious, and more disconnected from ourselves. Our attention has become the most valuable resource on earth. More valuable than oil, more profitable than gold. Because whoever controls attention controls behavior. The scary part, we handed it over willingly. Every scroll, every like, every notification is a part of an invisible economy, one that trades in dopamine. There's a phrase from Tristan Harris, the former Google design ethicist, who helped build some of the very systems he now warns against. He said, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. It's not your fault that your phone is hard to put down. It was designed that way. Infinite scroll wasn't invented to make your life easier. It was invented to remove stopping cues. Notifications weren't created to help you, they were created to pull you back in. The attention economy has one goal, to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. Every second you spend looking at a screen is a second someone else is making money. It's the most successful psychological experiment ever conducted, and we all signed up for it. What's fascinating is that we think we're using technology, but most of the time the technology is using us. Let's talk about dopamine, the chemical at the heart of all of this. Dopamine gets a bad rap. It's not evil. It's not even about pleasure. It's about motivation. It's a neurochemical that drives us to seek, explore, to act. Neuroscientist Dr. Anna Lembke, author of Dopamine Nation, describes dopamine as the molecule of more. It doesn't signal satisfaction, it signals potential. It spikes not when we achieve something, but when we anticipate it. This is why the endless scroll is so addictive. Every time you refresh your feed, you're gambling with your brain. Maybe you'll see something funny, maybe you'll see something shocking, maybe something validating. That's the hook. Maybe. Apps are slot machines designed by neuroscientists, refined by behavioral psychologists, and powered by data on billions of human interactions. When you open your phone, your brain lights up the same way it does in a casino. You're not addicted to the phone itself, you're addicted to the possibility of reward. And here's where it gets dangerous. Because when dopamine spikes constantly, your baseline drops. You start needing more stimulation just to feel normal. Books feel slow, conversations feel boring, real life feels dull. You're chasing highs that no longer satisfy. Dr. Lembke calls it a pleasure-pain seesaw. Every time you chase easy pleasure, you tip the scale, and the pain side rebounds even harder. That pain might look like anxiety, boredom, or restlessness, but it's your brain begging for balance. He who indulges in empty pleasures soon finds himself enslaved by them. That's a quote by Seneca. We think addiction is something extreme, heroin, gambling, alcohol, but the truth is our entire culture has normalized micro-addictions. Micro hits of dopamine, notifications, messages, likes, add up to a constant stream of stimulation. It's like eating sugar all day. It feels good in the moment, but leaves you exhausted, unfocused, and hungry for more. The irony is we call it connection, yet it's often the opposite. Every ping is a reminder someone might be thinking about you, and in that might lies the hook. You know what's wild? The average person checks the phone about 144 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes while awake. We like to tell ourselves we're in control, but what kind of control checks in every 10 minutes? Something deeper is happening, something we didn't consciously agree to, but we live inside it every single day. Tech companies call it engagement, psychologists call it conditioning. Either way, it's a form of training, and we're the ones being trained. The infinite scroll, the push notifications, the variable rewards, they're not accidents, they're design. They're built around the same behavioral principles used in casinos. When you pull down to refresh your feed, your brain gets the same dopamine spike a gambler feels when they pull a slot machine lever. Sometimes you win, a funny post, a new message, a viral video. Most of the time you don't. But your brain doesn't care about winning. It cares about the anticipation. That's dopamine's job. It's the chemical whisper saying, maybe something good is coming. And that whisper keeps us hooked. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris once said, "You could say that we've built an entire civilization that runs on slot machines in our pockets." It sounds dramatic, but he's right. Your phone is a behavioral laboratory, running experiments on billions of people simultaneously. The algorithm studies you, your clicks, your pauses, your habits, to find out what makes you react. And once it knows, it feeds you more of it. It's not showing you the truth. It's showing you what keeps you scrolling. And that's where the hijack begins. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not the customer, you're the product. Your attention is what's being sold. Every second your eyes are on the screen is another unit of currency in the attention economy. We used to trade time for money, now we trade time for dopamine. And the return on investment, pretty poor. We get fleeting pleasure, surface level connection, and constant sense of agitation. That subtle hum of anxiety you feel when you can't find your phone, that's withdrawal. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman explains this perfectly. He says, every time you engage with quick dopamine hits, scrolling, gaming, snacking, you raise your dopamine levels artificially. The brain then compensates by lowering your baseline. That's why over time you feel less motivated, less focused, less alive. So every quick hit you chase actually steals from tomorrow's motivation. We're mortgaging our focus for momentary stimulation, and the platforms know exactly what they're doing. Tech companies hire behavioral psychologists, addiction specialists, and data scientists, whose job it is to keep you online. When you stop scrolling, they lose money. This is why features like infinite scroll and autoplay exist. They remove friction. There's no natural endpoint, no chance for reflection. You can't finish social media, and that's the point. Sean Parker, one of Facebook's early executives, once admitted, "We knew we were exploiting vulnerability in human psychology. We did it anyway." That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a confession. And we wonder why our attention spans are collapsing. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." If he lived today, I think he'd add, and yes, that includes your phone. The Stoics talk constantly about self-mastery and the ability to govern your impulses rather than be governed by them. That's the very thing we're losing. Because in a world of constant stimulation, restraint feels like rebellion. But that rebellion might be the only path to peace. Seneca warned us about becoming enslaved by trivial pleasures. He didn't know about Instagram, but he knew about the pattern. He saw how humans chase distraction to avoid discomfort, and that's exactly what we're doing. We scroll not because we're curious, but because we're uncomfortable with stillness. Sometimes I wonder what it's doing to our sense of self. When every quiet moment becomes an opportunity for distraction, we lose the ability to be alone with one's thoughts. When was the last time you stood in a queue or sat on a train without pulling your phone out? Those used to be moments of quiet, micro meditations scattered throughout the day. Now they're just filled with noise. We've replaced reflection with consumption, and in doing so, we've traded depth for dopamine. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the man who coined the term flow, once said, "The best moments in our lives are not the passive, receptive, relaxing times. The best moments usually occur if a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile." But the dopamine we get from our screens is passive. It doesn't stretch us, it numbs us. And the longer we live in that state, the less capable we become of doing the hard, meaningful work that actually fulfills us. We've built a world where distraction is default, where boredom feels unbearable, and where silence feels like a void that needs to be filled. But maybe silence is where truth lives. Maybe the reason so many of us feel lost is because we've outsourced our attention to systems that don't care about us. As Naval Ravikant said, the modern struggle is not against hunger or war, but against distraction. That's the fight of our generation, not against enemies, but against algorithms. We've talked about how technology hijacks our attention. We've explored dopamine, how it drives desire, not pleasure. Now, I want to take a closer look at the cost of living in a world of constant stimulation. Because the truth is, it isn't just your focus that suffers, it's your motivation, your emotional state, and even your sense of meaning. When your brain is flooded with constant spikes of dopamine, it adapts. Going back to what Andrew Huberman said about artificially raising our dopamine levels, think of it like turning up the volume on a speaker again and again. Eventually, silence feels unbearable. The same principle applies to your brain. When every moment is artificially stimulating, ordinary life starts to feel dull. And it's happening to all of us. The average adult now spends 7 hours a day staring at screens, 7 hours of constant novelty, 7 hours of micro rewards. And the baseline for your brain's normal state is dropping. Emotional flatness, stimulation doesn't just impact attention, it affects emotion. When everything is exciting, nothing truly feels exciting anymore. We become numb to pleasure. Even real accomplishments feel muted. Seneca warned, an overflow of pleasure leads to weariness of soul. And modern research backs this up. A study from the University of Michigan found that high social media use correlates with lower moment-to-moment happiness. We get a rush from scrolling, but it fades fast, leaving us hollow, restless, and craving more. Decision fatigue. Constant stimulation also impacts our ability to make choices. Every notification, every ping, every micro-interaction is a tiny decision. Over hundreds of instances each day, those decisions add up. By the evening, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-controlling and planning, is fatigued. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, puts it simply. Every action is a vote for the person you wish to become. But when your attention is hijacked, most of those votes aren't going to you. They're going to the algorithms, the platforms, and the products that want you to keep scrolling. Erosion of meaning. Beyond emotion and decision-making, overstimulation erodes meaning. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and philosopher, said, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." Yet, when we chase microdopamine, we confuse stimulation for purpose. We feel busy, but are we actually engaged in meaningful activity? We check notifications instead of thinking deeply. We scroll through feeds instead of creating, learning, or connecting with others in a real way. And there's a social cost too. Loneliness in the US is up 40% over the past decade. Empathy among college students has dropped 30% since 2000. We have more connection than ever, but it's shallow, fleeting, and unfulfilling. This is where philosophy gives us perspective. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Our modern problem is subtle. It isn't obvious chains or tyrants. It's notifications, feeds, and apps that quietly pull our attention in hundreds of directions. And if we allow it, they pull our minds, our emotions, and even our sense of purpose. Think about your own life for a moment. When was the last time you spent a full hour without checking your phone? When was the last time you let yourself sit quietly and just think? How does it feel when boredom arises? Notice that discomfort. That tension is actually a sign that your mind wants depth, not distraction. So we've seen the cost: emotional flatness, decision fatigue, loss of meaning, social consequences. But here's the hopeful part. We can reclaim our focus and motivation. And in the next segment, I want to explore exactly how. How we can rebuild our attention, repair our dopamine system, and start living a life defined by depth and intention, not distraction. If overstimulation dulls us, maybe the cure isn't more control, but less input. We've spent a lot of time talking about how technology hijacks our attention, how constant stimulation flattens motivation, and how we've outsourced our focus to machines. But here's the good news: it's not permanent. Attention, like a muscle, can be trained. Dopamine, like a river, can be redirected. And the same brain that's been hijacked can be reclaimed. This isn't about quitting technology. It's about using it intentionally, about choosing when to give your attention and when to withhold it. The first step is awareness. The first rule is simple: notice the pull. Every time you unlock your phone, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this for curiosity or for habit? Even 10 seconds of awareness interrupts the autopilot loop. Naval Ravikant once said, to gain clarity, spend time alone. Here's the paradox: the devices we think that connect us are often the ones keeping us from connection with ourselves. Awareness is the first reclaiming of that space. Number 2, delay, strengthening self-control. After noticing the pull, delay the action. Don't open the app immediately, don't scroll instantly. Give yourself 5, 10, 15 seconds. Why? Because that small pause gives the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning and self-control, a chance to weigh in. Number 3, replace. Swap shallow dopamine for deep dopamine. Once you've created a small gap, replace the habit with something of higher value. Instead of scrolling, pick reading a chapter of a book, journaling your thoughts, going for a walk without your phone, practicing a skill you've wanted to improve. The key is effort-based dopamine, the kind that comes from creating, learning, and achieving. It doesn't spike instantly, but it lasts longer and builds real motivation. Think of it as planting seeds instead of grabbing candy. Number 4, environment. Make the good habits easy. We're all products of our own surroundings. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus wrote, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." You can't change technology, but you can change your environment. Turn off notifications for non-essential apps. Keep your phone out of reach during work or study. Create phone-free zones at home. Use tools like app timers or focus modes to enforce limits. Design your space so it supports focus, not undermines it. Number 5, ritual. Daily habits of focus. Ritual anchors our attention. Morning ritual, no phone for the first hour of the day. Work ritual, single task blocks, deep focus periods. Evening ritual, a wind down routine without screens. Cal Newport calls this time blocking for attention. Marcus Aurelius might have called it discipline of the mind. Rituals aren't restrictive, they're liberating. They give your mind structure in a chaotic world. Number 6, silence and boredom, resetting the system. Boredom is the antidote to overstimulation. Sit quietly, walk alone, notice your thoughts without a device in your hand. It feels strange at first, your brain will protest, but that protest is a sign of recalibration. Neuroscience shows that low stimulation periods restore dopamine sensitivity. Your brain begins to enjoy the simple things again. A conversation, a walk in nature, a creative task. This is where real clarity emerges. And number 7, small wins, build momentum. You don't need to complete a digital detox to reclaim focus. Even one phone-free hour a day can reset your reward system. Track small wins, resisting a scroll, completing a chapter, finishing a project. Celebrate these victories quietly, internally. Momentum compounds. Your brain relearns patience and effort-based reward. Number 8, reflection, Stoic perspective. Marcus Aurelius again, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Every notification is outside of your control. Every algorithm is outside of your control. What is within your control is how you respond, where you place your attention, and what you allow into your consciousness. Regaining focus is not just a productivity hack, it's reclaiming your own mental sovereignty. Number 9, invitation to you, the listener. As you listen, pause for a moment. What's one app or habit that constantly steals your attention? What's one small change you can make today to reclaim it? Imagine a day where you respond consciously, not reactively. That's the path back to deep work, presence, and meaning. Because the truth is, distraction isn't inevitable. Your attention, your focus, your life, they're still yours. We've explored a lot today. We've talked about the ways technology hijacks our attention. We've talked about dopamine, anticipation, and the subtle ways we get trapped in endless loops of distraction. We've seen the cost, flat motivation, emotional numbness, shallow pleasure, and the quiet erosion of meaning. And we've started to explore the path back, awareness, delay, replacing shallow dopamine with deep dopamine, designing your environment, embracing silence, and building rituals. I want to end by stepping back and thinking about why this matters, not just in terms of productivity, but in terms of life itself. Attention is the lens which all experience flows. If your attention is scattered, life itself feels scattered. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness in your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But today, your thoughts are often curated by algorithms. Every swipe, every like, every notification is a subtle suggestion about what matters, and it isn't your values. The fight we're engaged in isn't against technology, it's a fight for self-mastery, for sovereignty of our own minds. Here's the thing, you don't need to go cold turkey to reclaim your life. Start small. Maybe it's a phone-free breakfast. Maybe it's a 20-minute walk without notifications. Maybe it's refusing to open Instagram for a single hour. These small choices are votes for the life you actually want to live. James Clear puts it beautifully. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Every small action compounds. Every moment of awareness strengthens your capacity for attention. The Stoics taught us that true freedom comes not from external conditions, but from the mastery of our own minds. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not a master of himself." In our time, the modern chains are invisible. Notifications, pings, feeds, endless scrolls. Yet they are chains nonetheless. The good news, mastery is possible. Your attention can be reclaimed. Your focus can be strengthened. Your life can feel rich again. Maybe this is your why, the motivation to regain your presence, your depth, your clarity. So here's my invitation to you as you go about your day. Notice the moments when your attention is pulled. Pause, breathe, and ask, is this what I want? Make small, deliberate choices. Turn off a notification. Put your phone down for an hour. Take a walk. Write a paragraph. Read a page. See how it feels. Because the truth is, these small actions are radical. In a world designed to fragment your mind, even tiny steps towards presence are revolutionary. Digital dopamine is real. It's powerful, it's seductive, but it's not undefeatable. The same brain that has been hijacked can be retrained. The same attention that's been fragmented can be reclaimed. And once you're able to sit quietly, focus deeply, and choose consciously, life begins to feel bigger again, richer, more meaningful. As Cal Newport reminds us, clarity comes from intensity, not duration. Intensity is attention, depth of presence, freedom of choice. Your life is still yours, your attention is still yours, and today you can begin to take it back. Thank you for spending this time with me on the Big Lab podcast. Take one deliberate step this week to reclaim your attention. Notice it, choose it, and notice how it changes everything. If you've enjoyed this one, drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.